Okay, everyone, just me, Jeff Donnelly again. I know it's been a while since I posted a video. Basically, this year hasn't been a good one, like I've been in Bay State for 2 long visits, Mercy Hospital for another long visit, so yeah. My body's definitely not treating me well, but hopefully that's all over with now, but who knows. But anyways, once again, Jeff Donnelly. I've got degrees in psychology, criminal justice, most of an art education degree. I wrote Emotion and Political Repression, The True Tale of Massachusetts Bohemian. I wrote that because when I was 25 years old, I attempted to run for the United States Congress. And yeah, I learned firsthand how corrupt Massachusetts is. Realistically, I really thought that, what they had done to me then was the worst that could be done. But when you decide to poke the government back, well, they don't play fair. So, yeah. So let's talk about this video today, right? Just a short little, recap of what I saw today with the whole Karen Reed case, the opening statements by Hank Brennan. First off, you gotta admit, Larry, whatever the hell, the prosecutor, his name was, who handled the first case, he really didn't do that good. He was kind of boring. He got information out, but just drawn on and on and on. I don't think he was the best litigator for the case, but he did get the information out. He just couldn't, hold the attention, hold the people together. Brennan, he's going out there shooting with, both guns. He's just out there shooting. He's not playing games. He's not taking prisoners either. And realistically, I do think he really wanted to have Turtle Boy on the stand because how he's handling this right here. He's trying, he's going to, during the case, he's going to try to bring Turtle Boy into this. Bring the, witness intimidation into this. That's his whole idea, is to bring that in because he wants to definitely bring that in. You could tell just by how his opening was, just by his demeanor and how he's been acting. It wasn't a play on words, or it wasn't a game to keep Turtle Boy out of the, out of the case, out of the room. He really wanted to go after him and bring him in and tie him in with Karen Reed, and I do figure he's going to try to do it during the case. But anyways, if you haven't watched it, you need to watch his opening statement because he really did, piece by piece, but in an interesting and informative way, proved Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe. Like it or not, if he could back up all of his statements, everything he said with facts, she's screwed. Plus, on top of it, he's got her video too. So he's got the videos that she's done of herself, the interviews, time after time after time. You don't do videos before the trial. You don't admit to what you admitted to in these videos, in these interviews, before a trial. Karen Reed did too many videos, her story changed way too many times, and Hank Brennan is bringing those into this trial. He's already brought them in by having her admitting to killing him in his opening statement. It wasn't any of the witnesses' words that he used. It was actually her own words that he used. Her own words just screwed her over royally. And he played that for the jury on day 1. Not day 5, not day 30, not day 40 when they're all bored and out of their gourds. But on day number 1, he played that video. Karen Reed is going to have no choice than to take the stand in this trial. And that's not going to be good for her either because he's going to bring up the conflicting stories and everything else to her. So right now, Karen Reed is in a bad spot. I haven't listened to the opening statements from the defense yet. Who knows how that's going to be? I'll probably do a video on that as well, But right now, if Hank Brennan can actually prove everything he's claimed, which it looks like he can by the documentation that exists with even ARCA being paid for by the defense. May not have been paid originally by the defense, but the defense did give them money, which Come on. If you didn't, like realistically, if you didn't pay them, they call you up asking for 20-something grand, you're going to tell them, beat rocks. Like, really. You're not going to just hand 20 grand out for no reason. But anyways, that opening statement, it was less than the time needed, the time offered by the Commonwealth, by the state, I mean. But a little bit over half an hour, you definitely should watch that, listen to it, because if he can prove that, Karen Reed is got no shot, and if there's a plea on the table, if I was her, I would take it in. As everyone who knows me knows, I have no faith in the Massachusetts legal system. I have no faith in the district attorney's office, no matter what district attorney's office it is, but especially Hampden County. But I have no faith at all in the Massachusetts legal system. I know firsthand corrupt judges. I know firsthand corrupt ADAs and district attorneys in this state, at least in the western part of it. But if I was in Karen Reed's spot, and we all know how I don't take plea bargains, because I don't commit crimes, even though they do their best to actually convict me of shit. You gotta love that. Hell, you're looking at the only person that's been convicted of refusing to turn in a firearm license, who didn't even have a firearm license at the time. Yeah. Expired on April 24th, they went on May 8th. Go figure. It's just bullshit. Whatever. Just more corruption, but still. In the Karen Reed case, I don't believe I see corruption there. I see some incompetence. I see some police officers being, I hate to say it, but police officers and their text messages to each other, like some of these guys are bullies. Some of them are pure assholes, and some of them, they see someone who, kills a cop, and all of a sudden, that person is the lowest form of human filth that they've ever met because they killed a cop. If they killed me or you, the cop really wouldn't give a shit. But because they killed the cop, they're going to talk shit. They're going to talk nasty about him. They're going to make rude comments about him because they killed another law enforcement officer. Plain and simple. Karen Reed kills me or you, cops don't give a shit, but still they would charge her in this situation because she admitted to them that she hit him. She's drunk, she says, did I hit him? And then she obviously goes into the psych ward because she wants to kill herself, that's... And the witnesses testified that he never went in the house. She dropped him off, last person to see him. And just, when you look at a situation like the Karen Reed situation, it's pretty telling. Especially when someone's intoxicated. When someone's intoxicated and they're trying to make up a story, a lot of times they go overboard. And with her, she went overboard. If she would have just stayed home, stayed at John O'Keefe's house, slept on the couch, slept in the bed, whatever. Next morning, didn't, leave those messages that she left because she was extremely intoxicated, extremely upset. She probably did think she hit him like she claimed, but she probably thought she just clipped him and that she was calling up to apologize or argue more. She didn't realize right away that she killed the guy. But her actions after she hit him, and how she hit him, she's screwed. But as soon as she realized the severity of the situation, she started doing everything she could do to cover up her crime. And the first thing that she tried to do is blame the snowplow driver. That didn't work, so she starts trying to blame everyone else. But remember, I think John got hit by a snowplow. Really. Why? Because you let him, he got out of your car and went in the house? But a snowplow? Okay. After that didn't work, it was everyone from the snowplow to a dog. Like, come on. Everyone from a snowplow driver to a dog. Yeah, he never even made it inside the house. He never left where she hit him. But anyways, we're going to see how this trial goes. Like, I watched the last trial from beginning to end, and now I'm going to watch this one from beginning to end. And maybe I'll pop on, do a few videos every now and then about what I feel, how I think, and who I think is doing good or who I think is doing horrible. I do believe that Karen Reid's defense attorneys are going to do a good job because, honestly, just like Hank Brennan is a high-profile attorney, her attorneys are also high-profile attorneys. If the judge allows them as much leeway as she was giving them in the first trial, they're going to do a good job. If the judge doesn't allow them as much leeway, which it might not look like they're going to get, it's going to be even worse for Karen Reid. But once again, as you can see, I do personally believe that Karen Reid is guilty. Do I believe that she intentionally killed him? No. I believe that she was just upset, angry, backed up, screwed her whole life over. But I believe she should have just admitted to what happened right away, explained that she was intoxicated, took a plea bargain of maybe a couple of years, or even maybe 6 months in that probation. Who knows? But when you live your whole life and you never have to actually be accountable for your actions, it's hard to actually be accountable for your actions when you actually do something, especially something as serious as Karen Reid has done, or I believe that she's done. Hey, if for some miracle she's innocent of this, I'm sorry, but this is just how I feel and what I think about the case by seeing everything I've seen. And remember something, these defense attorneys are not Karen Reid's supporters. They're being paid to represent her. Their reputation is on the line right now. They claim that they're not getting paid, but they've already made hundreds of thousands of dollars from the first trial. And then she sold her house, and it goes into a fund that they're in charge of. There's just, and then there's book deals, and Karen Reid didn't do these interviews for free. She's involved in the back end too. Especially the one on HBO, whatever, Max, because that actually played after the trial, which means that she was definitely involved in that. Okay, well, once again, Jeff Donnelly, author of Emotion and Political Repression, a book that they do not want you to see because, hell, the Springfield Police Department found me suitable to have a firearm license, but refused to renew my business license, my hawker peddler's permit, to sell this book, Exposing Corruption. I brought awareness to this when I ran for mayor of Springfield, and next thing you know, 30 days before the gun license comes up for renewal, guess what happens? They come for the gun license. Kind of strange, huh? They backdoored it, going after the gun license. I knew what they were going to do, so what did I do? I took precautions. I brought my guns to Vermont. They didn't like that. They contacted me after my gun license expired, telling me it was suspended. How can you suspend a license that has already expired and doesn't exist anymore? Go figure. You want to see true corruption? Look at that shit. Look at the shit that I've actually stated, and look at the stuff that I've actually, exposed. Because that's true corruption. Someone's saying, I did it. And the only person with broken taillight with their vehicle, last person to see the guy, I'm sorry to tell you that's kind of like a black and white situation. But hell, you could believe whatever you want to believe, and if you've donated money to the Karen Reid Defense Fund and to her in general, and you've actually stood out there and held signs out for her and stuff like that, I completely understand why you don't want to see her as being guilty, because you've donated so much money, so much time into her that you are personally involved in her case. It just makes sense. And on the same token, is there's been a big community of people who have gathered around her. Just like politics, just like Democrats and Republicans, they have their core supporters. Me, I'm not friendly with any of these other, content creators who are pro-Karen Reid. I'm not friends with any of them that are anti-Karen Reid. I'm not making money off of either side. I'm just sitting here saying what I think, how I feel, and yeah, I'm just shooting the shit with you guys. Because, well, I do believe in exposing corruption. I figure might as well start talking about current events and stuff like this. And yeah, so far it's been about Karen Reid and Turtle Boy, which, yeah, I need to start talking about other cases and other news stories and other situations and more in-depth, like, yeah. And just give my opinion, my common sense approach. Okay, well, hey, have a good one, you guys. Stay safe.